John Thorne is like Bob Barker. Look at John Thorne.
All right. That's right. That's a minute and a half. And then we're going to be talking some football. Tell your friends. Yeah, don't forget to join us. NFC North Open Mic every single Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Home of the bad takes. Oh, yeah. I love that catch right there by Panay Sewell. Welcome one, welcome all. It is June 20th, 2023. And if you are watching right now, you are one of the best football fans that there is because it's June 20th and we're talking about football right here. It is the NFC North phone sessions. I am your host, Russell Wayne. We're here to talk about some football today. And I do have my illustrious host from the NFC North Open Mic from Monday night on the line right now. Main Event Mike, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm still good. We had such a great show last night on the NFC North Open Mic, and I'm just kind of riding that wave from it last night.
I love it. I love it. And we are broadcasting live right now into NFC North Main Event, Detroit Lions Villain Squad, Detroit Lions News, Bill the Packer fan, and Mike the Bear fan, along with NFC North Open Mic Facebook group as well. And man, it is, we just got done with OTAs. We just got done with, really seeing the first look at all of our rookies. And from a Lion fan perspective, we are feeling pretty good going into this lull of the offseason. What do you think, Mike?
I think we're not only feeling good, we're feeling better than I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I'm pretty old. I've never seen this much hype or this much expectations around the Lions team. And I think rightly so. When you look up and down the roster, we have a reason to be excited. We finished winning 8 out of 10 down the stretch last year. And if we can keep that momentum going, we had minimal losses on the team. A lot of times in the offseason, NFL teams turn over an average of 32% of their roster every year. The Lions are below that average. So we bring back a lot of people who are familiar with the system and some very promising free agents and some promising rookies. So a lot of reason to be excited as the Lions fan. Great things on the horizon for this team.
I love it. I love it. And I really love the depth of this team. We were talking with John Dorn yesterday, and we kind of proved a couple of his narratives false just with like stats on our guys like Cameron Sutton, Emmanuel Mosley, and Chauncey Gardner. He kind of called them one trick ponies and said that they'd only done one thing. And going through PFF, we got three really good, solid secondary guys right there. What do you think of those? Let's go in, go into that for a little bit.
Yeah, well, since you mentioned John Dorn, and I will address your question there, but I wanted to kind of go off track right quick. We had posed a question last week on who do you like week 1, Packers versus Bears, and I took the Bears. Do you remember that?
Right. Yeah, you did.
I need to amend that pick because I found out that Packer fan John Dorn has a voodoo doll of Justin Fields.
It's my quarterback.
Maybe with that defense, that running game, and the voodoo doll help of John Dorn, the Packers can win week 1 against Chicago.
Yeah, well, I mean, now, with the voodoo doll only, right?
With the voodoo doll help, I am gonna go and say that he was way off base calling these players one-trick ponies or one-year wonders. I mean, this is a guy who thinks everyone's a bust that doesn't play for Green Bay, so we got to take a look with a little bit of salt. But I do respect that he stands by his opinions, and we love having him on the show. But we proved him wrong. We destroyed it. You can go look it up for yourself. PFF. Look at Emmanuel Mosley's grades, Cam Sutton's grades for the last few years, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, for goodness sake. He led the league in interceptions. He quarterbacked the defense that went to the Super Bowl. So I think he was way off on his assessment this time. And these are guys that are going to turn this defense around.
Honestly, because I'm going to bring it up right now just so people can see. So let me share my screen. And really, his experiment made me like the team even more. So if you're watching and not listening, you can see right here, this is Emmanuel Mosley looking at his overall grade for last year was 70.9. This was obviously before his ACL injury. You're looking at 2021, then you're looking at a 68.7. These are phenomenal PFF grades. So, and that was another thing I wanted to squash from last night too, was the fact that we brought up Byron Murphy as a 66, like that was such like it was this bad thing. Byron Murphy is a good cornerback. The only point I was bringing up to Jamez with the cornerbacks was that Patrick Peterson was better. So these PFF grades, they're good things to measure, but you can't live and die by these metrics alone.
Right, but look at who they're replacing. They're obvious upgrades from what we had. Amani Oruwariye, Mike Hughes were not only the worst corners on our team, but maybe a couple of the worst secondary players in the NFL. It's going to be very interesting to see them get picked on their new teams to see how well they do. Jeff Okudah as well. I think Atlanta Falcons have Jeff Okudah and Mike Hughes. So I'm really looking forward to that Atlanta game at Ford Field and Jared Goff having a field day that day.
Yeah. But I'm feeling opposite of you on that Chicago versus Green Bay talk. You know that, right? Oh gosh,
you picked the Packers to win from the beginning.
Yeah, and I think that it does have to do with the defense. If Aaron Rodgers was playing defense, then I would feel a lot better about Justin Fields going down, having him be the all-star guy on that side of the field, but he didn't play defense. Justin Fields has not been able to do anything versus that stalwart Green Bay defense that you're talking about that ranked 21st by PFF. But yeah, for sure. Now I've been going into these, I've been having a little bit of technical difficulties. I feel like a run-on sentence, and I apologize, everybody.
Let's be clear, Russ. Are you taking Green Bay or Chicago in the game?
Green Bay is going to win the first game. Chicago needs to put these guys together. They need to learn how to play with each other first.
Yeah, I originally was taking the Bears because Justin Fields was coming into the second year of the offense. He was a dangerous weapon last year, and I just feel with DJ Moore, he's going to have a much better season this year than he did last year. So I originally picked Justin Fields to beat the Packers. Put it in the comments. Tell us what you think. Do you think Bears win week 1 or Green Bay wins week 1? Lions got to play Kansas City, so not a lot of people outside of Russell Wayne's house are picking the Lions to win against Kansas City. So it will be interesting to see who gets out to the early lead in this division race.
Yeah, and I do believe the Lions can win that game. I'm on the side that they can win that game. I mean, I think that people just think it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to lose week 1, and that just kind of that hurts my feelings a little bit. Curtis Healy says, first time in my life when the Lions draft a first and a second rounder that won't start week 1. I like that call. And Campbell and Brian Branch. That's a good call by Curtis right there. I like that call.
I know that you fully expect Jack Campbell to start week 1.
Sure, but I'm not but I'm not dumb enough to just say, hey, that's a foregone conclusion that he's gonna, jump all these guys. But I think he's that talented that he will jump everybody on a depth chart because
addressing that, Dan Campbell said this week, he said, look, man, you got to earn it.
Yep.
So you fully expect Jack Campbell to earn it. And it sounds like our commenter there does not expect him to earn it.
Well, won't start week 1. Yeah, I guess he is calling that. So Curtis is calling that out that he won't start. And would you really mind that? I mean, if they roll out with, let's say Anzalone and, Rodrigo as their day 1 starters and have Campbell coming in off in rotation for the first few weeks, are you really that bent out of shape about that? Your first round pick,
especially with the Lions' penchant for bringing on players slowly. I don't think it'll be a surprise if he doesn't start. But I fully expect be entrenched for the next 10 years in that spot. So it's only a matter of time before he does get on the field and start.
Yeah, he says Barnes, Anzalone, and Rodrigo. And I feel you on that, but we normally don't start with we're a 2 linebacker set now. We have a lot more people in the secondary, and then our extra jack linebacker. We have an interesting defense. I like how we have these tweener guys in that third linebacker position that could be a safety, it could be a DB, it could be, a pass rusher. I like it. It's kind of a wild card. And that's
in the lateral quickness of these linebackers these days is just miles beyond what it was just 10 years ago. I mean, you hardly ever see a successful run off tackle unless it's a jet sweep or something where the wide receiver's in motion. I mean, just a handoff, run-off tackle rarely gets more than 3-yard carry because these linebackers and these safeties are so fast nowadays that, these are the kinds of players that these defenses are looking for. These Jack Campbell's tall, range, fast. And he fits right into what they're doing with that, like you said, that 4-2-5 scheme that they're going to.
Yeah.
The secondary was a weak spot for the Detroit Lions. Now it's up to be a real strength. Once the season gets going and these guys start to develop some chemistry, I think second half of the season, you're going to see this Lions defense be really, really tough.
Yeah, I like we're having this conversation with Curtis in here, and Curtis says with Kirby and Johnson in the backfield at the same time, it is. They've made drastic improvements right there. I love that call too, and all these guys are versatile. So it's like Brian Branch, he won't start week 1, but he will play week 1. He will most definitely be out there in some of the sub packages. Unless he really just bombs in, training camp or something, but that's probably not going to happen. I mean, he seems to be the worker.
That's another new hybrid form of the position in the NFL. These DBs, they're looking for guys that can play safety and corner and slot corner. They play all over the field. Never have to leave when these packages come in. We're going to see C.J. Gardner-Johnson on the field for every snap damn near. And then when you throw in Kirby Joseph, like he says, and also Tracy Walker, team captain, comes back 100%. That's a loaded safety room. You got Ife Melifonwu, who they were trying to convert to a safety. I don't know if that continues now that they've added Brian Branch.
No, actually, with they have a couple undrafted free agents like Sterling, Sterling Thomas that may take the job of somebody like Iffy. Like, I mean, there's no guarantee that some of these other guys on the bottom of the roster are going to make it because of the types of guys they're bringing in. And one thing that they have in common, and this one thing I want to throw out there, is like between Mosley, Gardner Johnson, Sutton, and like Branch, all of these guys are stalwart secondary guys versus the run. They brought in secondary guys to help with playing the run, because everybody knows that when you stop the run, you can get a pass rush. And we got good pass rushers. So Harris is back. Very versatile. I like Harris.
Good coverage secondary leads to coverage sacks. That helps out the defense. One thing begets another.
Yep. And all of these guys that they brought in are also very good in coverage. They're sticky. I love that stat that, like, it's Mosley and actually Jerry Jacobs, another guy we haven't even mentioned, were two top 10 corners as it comes to quarterbacks passer rating verse. So that means that they were sticking on the guys that they were supposed to be sticking on. And Jerry Jacobs is healthy, and he'll compete with Emmanuel Mosley for that second cornerback slot. So that proves to you how deep the secondary is when you look at that. When you really look at that.
And it's really mind-boggling when you think about what this secondary looked like just 2 years ago, or even last year.
Oh my God.
The sweeping, and they have really addressed it. And this is Brad Holmes' MO. When there's a weak spot on the roster, he doubles down on it.
Triple, quadruple, and then drafts two guys. Like, it was like, it was a complete turnaround. It kind of reminds me of the turnaround of the wide receiver room. Because if you remember in 2021, when Jared Goff first got here, and I know everybody loves to bash Goff, but when Goff got here, his starting wide receivers were supposed to be Terrell Williams and Rashad Perryman. And they rolled out with Terrell Williams and Quintez Cephas because Perryman didn't make the team. So those were our starting wide receivers. Not Amon-Ra St. Brown. He didn't come on until like week 4, week 5, By the power of Ra. And now here's where we are.
Well, and also the wide receiver corps for the Lions not getting a lot of love from the national media. They were ranked in the bottom third of pass catching core groups by PFF. It was just recently put out, I believe, day before yesterday. The Lions were somewhere in the 20s as far as Pat. Do you think they rank that low with this group? I mean,
I think that there's truth. There is truth in that ranking, but I think that it comes from a place that's like, you got Amon-Ra St. Brown. Obviously, he's your alpha dog number 1 wide receiver, but he's not built like an alpha dog number 1 wide receiver. And then you have like 5 wide receiver 3s.
Yeah.
So it's like none of those wide receiver 3 guys are going to wow you, but I think the overall depth, because I don't think all those guys are wide receiver 4s. I think Raymond's good enough to be a wide receiver 3. I think Reynolds is good enough to be a 3. Marvin Jones is good to be a 3, but I don't know. It would be a stretch to make them a 2, but they're not bad enough to be a 4. They're not off the bench guys. Raymond's clutch,
Fair assessment. I think that's a fair assessment. You got Jamison Williams, who's really still unproven. So even when he comes 7, week 8, we don't know, what that's going to look like.
Yeah,
it's
and
week 7, week of the season because of the bye.
So let me ask you something on Jamison, because it's like one of these things that comes out from people is what they love to do is, if there's an uncertainty, we love to project the bad. You know what I'm saying? But like, what if he isn't bad? What if he is 4.140 super speed and is what he has been in the 5 plays that he played, that he touched the ball, where he scored on 3 of them? Like, he's electrifying, Mike. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember the first time he touched the ball, you looked right over me and you're like, oh my God, look how fast this guy is. Like, we haven't seen that in Detroit.
It really did stand out. I don't care if it's 1/10 of a second in the 40 with the pads on and they put the ball in his hands. It was apparent how fast this guy is. He's faster than everyone else out there on the field.
He was obviously.
This might work for our advantage. Like you said, everyone projects the bad. When he comes in on the 7th week or the 8th week, the 7th game, he's going to have fresh legs. He's going to be roaring. He's going to have a huge chip on his shoulder. Be ready to go. Hopefully, he'll have some good rapport built with Jared Goff by then, and we really could be seeing. I mean, it's going to be boom or bust with this guy, I believe.
Yeah, sure. But here's the thing. I think it's really going to be predicated on what happens in the first 6 weeks, because if our offense is rolling without him, then Ben Johnson's just going to get a nice little Lamborghini toy to throw right in the middle of that and just use that speed at his will. But if he's forced to come in week 7 and, have to like kind of quote unquote save the offense, I think it sets him up to be the negative outcome. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think it's fair to say he's had a rocky start to his career, having to sit out with an injury his first year almost, and then this gambling thing. He really needs to turn it on for these next couple of years so he can get another bite of the apple in Detroit and get a second contract.
Right on. I mean, I agree 100% on that. I mean, but I think that the right people are around him. I put up a video today on the page, on the Villain Squad page with Jameson practicing, because I know that John Dorn only loves to hear and only loves to see all of the negative press that comes out about him. But this guy has got some skill, and he's out there working really, really hard right now. Oh, man. I was just going to do a little plug right here. So this is the phone sessions. We are streaming live right now. Detroit Lions news, NFC North Mane Event, Detroit Lions Villain Squad. Please go like and follow these pages. If you're a Packer fan, go follow Bill the Packer fan. If you're a Bear fan, go follow Mike the Bear fan. And if you're watching right now, you're obviously an avid football fan, because we talk about football 365 days a year. We eat, breathe this football. We don't really care about baseball or any of the other sports. We just want to be here in service to all of these avid football fans out there. And we appreciate every one of you for listening and watching and subscribing and following and doing all that stuff to help us reach as many people as possible. I wanted to put a shout out right here to WTH is Autism. That's my wife's podcast right there. I've got a autistic 4-year-old, and we want to help raise awareness of autism. It's not a disease. I want to change it to autism, because these are some of the most amazing kids in the world, the kids with autism. So if you want to learn more about autism, go to WTHisautism.com, and they're helping us put our football content out there. So God bless you guys. So
it was great to have John Dorn on the show last night. But I think that's a wonderful thing that your wife is doing there with the WTH's Autism podcast. I actually listened in. I don't know if you know that, but they were doing just a great job. I really like the host too. She's great.
Well, awesome. I appreciate that, Mike. And it is something to learn. Like, a lot of people look at it like it's just this thing. Like, they used to look at it like they put them in crazy houses, like these kids, just because they acted different. And what they're finding out is they just learn different. And really they have amazing gifts in other areas. They just have to learn a different way to relate. And that's what they're finding, a lot of beautiful ways to help with that. And it's like this whole new world is opening up. So I'm sorry to all the footballer guys out there. I got that out there because I want you to go there. Get your awareness at WTHisautism.com right there. Could the Lions have a top 10 defense?
I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
if you're a, if, why would Robert Tonyan leave the Packers to go be a second stringer for the Bears? I know he's from Chicago, but Cole Kmet is the clear number one there. If Tonyan stays in Green Bay, he's the clear number one there. Why would you do that and go play in Chicago to be number two? Can you answer that for me, Russ? Could a Bear fan,
I think that
tell me what the reasoning is there?
Yeah, we should have that. If you have an answer for that, go ahead and throw that in the comments. I think we got a couple Lion fans. Big Dan Davis is in here. Hey, guys.
All right.
He actually says that Hendon Hooker is ahead of schedule. He looked good in my opinion, and you won't be able to tell he was injured. Okay, well, if it wasn't for the brace. That's cool. That's good news. But I wanted to hit that Tonyan question. I think that is a good question. I have an answer for it, but I want you guys to answer it too in the comments. If there's any Bear fans that want to chime in on that, like, or Packer fans, why would Tonyan leave and then be to be a second stringer in Chicago? And I think there's a salty thing. I think that Tonyan values himself more than the Green Bay Packers valued him. And when you feel like that, why wouldn't you want to go play for the rival? I would love to come and kick your ass twice this year and prove to you that, you let me go. I don't know.
Could it be that he believes in Justin Fields more than Jordan Love? He's a Chicago kid, so he's obviously following the Bears regularly, watching Justin Fields' development, playing against Justin Fields twice a year. And he's on the inside watching Jordan Love develop. And he made a decision that I'd rather be a second stringer in Chicago than a starter in Green Bay. And it can't just be the crappy Lambeau Field, because Soldier Field's just as bad. It's got to be the quarterback is what I'm thinking.
Maybe he wasn't happy is what Daniel says. And here's another thing is maybe Tonyan thinks that he's the number one tight end. And I mean, he can compete for that job. I think Tonyan's in the Cole Kmet. I don't think Cole Kmet's so good that Tonyan couldn't beat him out for the number one tight end job.
Oh, I think so. I think Kmet is a better tight end, and he's got an established rapport with Justin Fields. He was Justin Fields' favorite receiver last year. And Kmet had he's coming off a career year where he's entrenched as the starter.
But, nice, solid 2 tight end deals isn't, it's something that you're starting to see a little bit more and more. If they go out in 2 tight end sets, both of those guys are a threat, So,
yeah. Well, no doubt. 12 personnel has increased in usage over the NFL over the last 3 years, 19, 21. Now, last year we saw 22% of the plays teams are in 2 tight end sets on 22%, and that number just keeps growing. And as we saw with the amount of tight ends that were drafted in the first 2 rounds, and we see from the salaries that the tight ends are getting, the tight ends are eclipsing the running salaries. So
they are.
It's a passing league, and the tight end is really being opened up in the NFL. And guys like Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews, they really paved the way for this changing of the guard in the NFL, and the tight end position becoming more and more prominent in the passing game.
Right.
So 2 tight ends, you do definitely, obviously Tonyan's going to get some balls there in Chicago. He's going to see the field. He's going to get some snaps. But when you're the starter, you command more money. So I just don't understand why you go in that string. Has anyone addressed that in the comments?
Well, actually, Curtis was echoing that. He said Bears run a lot of 2 tight end sets, and they plan to run a lot of RPOs. And I think they're going to continue to do a lot of RPOs out of that. And when you got 2 tight ends out in space that can hit those people in blocks, then Justin Fields is going to be running longer. So that's a great point there by Curtis. And then Big Dan Davis says, I love me some Robert Tonyan. Even though he plays for the division rival, I believe he is a Michigan native. Okay. Big Dan Davis in with the info. I hope he's right, but it wouldn't be the first time we were wrong on here.
100% sure that he's a Chicago native.
Chicago native, huh?
You have to look that one up, Dan.
Okay, Big Dan Davis, what are your thoughts on former Lion TJ Hawkinson being set to get an extension with the Vikings? Word on the street is the deal is going to make him the second highest paid tight end in the league, but I think it's tight end ever. I mean, all of them are the highest paid ever. What do you think of that, Mike?
Good. I hope so. Waste a good percentage of your salary cap on a tight end. Please do.
Yeah,
You
you must be Quezzy. And it's like, here's the thing is like, listen, Detroit Lion fan, or if there's if Viking fan is out of witness protection, you're listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth. I am not saying TJ Hawkinson is a bad tight end. And you can argue that he is a top 10 tight end. But here's the thing. He's 10 on that list. He is a top 10 tight end. He is 10. So if you want to pay top
I
two,
got him at
go ahead.
I got him at 7. I mean, that's debatable, right?
Yeah, okay. I'm making a point that if you want to pay top 2 money for a guy that's obviously in the bottom half of that, top 10 conversation, that's fine. You can go ahead and do that, and you can put your money into a wing and the prayer. And I'm glad that we ain't got to make that wing and a prayer here in Detroit anymore, and that you have to make that decision. And then we have a couple of really nice tight ends that are on rookie contracts. Actually, 4 of them that would cost less than your one TJ Hawkinson. So good luck with that, Minnesota.
You like that?
Yeah, definitely a player, but our head coach was a former tight end, and we let him go. That's got to tell you something. There's something about the way he plays the position that just didn't gel with what Dan Campbell wants to do, and they weren't willing to pay him that much money. Let Minnesota do it. He drops balls, blocks. Yes, he's electrifying in the passing game sometimes, but they have no defense there. And the money they're going to pay him, they could have retained Eddie Kendricks. They could have retained Zadarius Smith, players that they let go.
You must be Quezzy. You must be Quezzy. I mean, I cannot say I am going to trash the Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings, you're going to lose 6 games in the division this year. I'm doubling down, tripling down. You got worse. And unless Brian Flores turns into walking on water as a defensive coordinator and he turns water into wine, then you guys are screwed. I mean, you can score 40 points a game all you want and you'll lose 13 games. Gosh, here we go. Another Holmes trade. Hey, this is another great Holmes trade. And this is one of the reasons I don't think that we got rid of TJ Hawkinson because he was bad. I think when Quessy comes to you and says, I'll give you a second and third round pick, and you just got to throw me some late round picks back for your tight end. And he's like, okay. Well, if you're going to give me a second and a third round pick, then yeah, for the tight end. Yes. And then we moved in a different direction. I don't think he sought that out. So great Holmes trade. It'll take the extra cap and Laporta and the undrafted tight ends. Yeah, that's it. I'll take those 4 tight ends over TJ any day. Half the money. Let's go. Thank you, Curtis, for the comment. Big Dan Davis.
We could see Dan Mitchell emerge as a beast coming off a foot injury.
Yeah, the word is in the camp that he was doing really, really well. But John Dorn doesn't want to say that. He doesn't want to talk about the good thing. Well, that's just training camp. Okay. Because it doesn't work for you, right? Okay. But yeah, Mitchell's had a great training camp. They're expecting him to take a big jump this year. And that's what tight ends usually do. Second and third year. Takes you a year to understand blocking schemes. It's a hard position to do everything that a tight end needs to do. But that's why Sam Laporta is probably going to be a really, really good tight end year 1, because I don't think they're going to ask him to block too much. They haven't put him in any of the blocking rooms. He's been all.
It'll be interesting. It would be interesting to see who the starting tight end is on the first play from scrimmage for the Detroit Lions.
I really believe that they're going to use Sam Laporta as a big wide receiver more. And I'm not saying that he won't block, but because our wide receivers block. Amon-Ra St. Brown
By the power of Ra.
is one of the best, if not the best, wide receiver blocker in the league. He does the dirty work. That's why we love him so much.
By the power of Ra.
Vikings won 13 games with the worst defense in the league. Yeah, you had the worst point differential too. You also got your
eight come from behind victories.
Yep. And if you expect that to happen, if you expect your quarterback to have 8 come from behind victories, then you have too much expectation on your quarterback. Even if that's Patrick Mahomes, you have to be better in other places. The numbers will catch up to you, Trent. I'm just saying.
Right.
I ain't even trying to hate on you, man. But
yeah, they won 11 games. They won 11 games by 1 score or less. You can't expect the ball to bounce like that every time for you. That's an unheard of. That's a fluke. 11-0 in 4 games. 8 come from behind. That is a fluky season. You can't expect that to get better
you win in the NFL, Mike. Like, I mean, you got to give them credit for winning. But here's the thing is you don't just have the worst defense in the league. You lost your best players on the worst defense in the league. So I don't know how you can be worse, but you also lost a top 5 running back that you guys are just glazing over. The fact that every defense is putting 8 men in a box to stop Dalvin Cook. Ain't nobody putting 8 men in a box to stop Alexander Mattison. Okay? They're going to be able to reallocate other defenses to try to stop guys like Hawkinson and Jefferson, where they got to go on soft because of the boxes. They got a lot more one-on-ones. They ain't getting all those one-on-ones. Do you think
you're going to see a lot of Justin Jefferson double teams? I am staying away from all Minnesota Vikings players in fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, Justin Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the league. So if anybody can overcome that, I mean, I'm not going to doubt that, like I said, they could get 40 points a game with this new, but you lost Adam Thielen too. That's nice that you drafted a piece in the first round, but to expect that guy to come in year 1, boom, I'm Adam Thielen. I mean, it's just redonkulous to think that you could just be better like that. Curtis Lakes Mitchell. Trent Richardson says the Lions should be good, but you are still the Lions and you haven't done anything yet. That is not a football argument, Trent.
That's a history lesson.
We don't care about the history lesson. Right now, Dan Campbell is even against your team, and we were 5-1 in the division last year. And by the way, that Dan Campbell whooped your ass last year in that last game. You guys look like you're not even competing on our level at all. Like we're going to truck stick the version that you had last year, which is better than the version that you have this year. Trent, you're in for a rude awakening this year. Maybe I am. Maybe I'll be eating crow week 3 going, oh my God, same old Lions. Like, I don't know.
That's possible.
It is possible. I've been wrong before, but I was right 13 times. If you would have bet on my bets, Trent, it's a smart bet to bet with my bets.
That's right. It's been
I ain't trying to brag, but I got the tape. I'm on record for these things.
Oh,
what's that?
I got to jump off. Can I plug the show?
Go ahead and plug the show. Let's get them.
Everybody, if you're out there listening, it's every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. It's the NFC North Open Mic Night. I'm your host, Russell Lane, is your producer, and we bring in all 4 fan bases from the NFC North, and we talk smack. It's a trash-talking group, so don't come if you don't expect to get your feelings hurt, or if you're a little too thin-skinned to get your feelings hurt. Bears fans, Packers fans, Vikings fans, the Lions fans are ripping you apart, but they get their digs in on us as well. So join us every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm out. Take care, Russ.
Well, thank you so much. Mike, main event Mike right there, man. It's always nice to have him on the phone sessions. I love having a good phone conversation. And that was the idea of this show in the first place, is like, for years and years and years, we would always call each other up. A lot of the circle of the people that have been around Russell Wayne and Russell Wayne's music, we would have phone conversations, and it's like, wow, if we ever just turned the recorder on and just talked football, that we could have a successful show. And that's kind of like what we're doing right here. We're just talking football every day, 11 a.m. and doing that thing. And I want to do something meaningful too. So my wife's, she has this podcast, WTHisautism.com. We want to put awareness out there. We have a 4-year-old autistic son, and we want to teach people, because it is a different thing and they're still learning about it. Any topics in here? I'm going in here. Big Dan Davis, Russ, and Mike, which games are you guys looking forward to attending the most this year? I'll be at the Monday night one against the Raiders. Oh, heck yeah. One of the things that I do personally is every year, my fantasy football crew is we go to an away game, and we are going to Baltimore to watch the Lions play the Baltimore Ravens with my son. My son loves some Lamar Jackson. So yeah, it's going to be a really, really cool thing. But we like to go to the away games. I want to see all the away stadiums before I die. So that's one of my dreams. I'm dream building, and hopefully the riches of all the money I'll make from my music and this podcast and everything, I'll be able to like go to all the Lions games. Yeah. You guys did beat us handily. Love that you guys beat the Packers. Yeah. It's not a thing that we're used to here in this area. Lions fans can dish it out, but can't take it. No, we can take it better than anybody. John Doran tells me that Lions fans can't take it. We have been taking it and taking it and taking it for years and years and years and years, and we've taken it just fine. We are the Lions. We haven't won anything. We've never even won the division ever. It's like we're not out here bragging, but we got a good team. If anything, Lion fans actually know what a good team is, because you look at it and say, well, it's not us. Then you look at other teams and go, man, I wish I had a great quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, or like when we were going through it, you love your team. You wouldn't turn on your team when they were bad. Even the Packer fans, you guys remember, some of you guys remember the 80s and the 70s. You guys went through it. Everybody goes through it. Curtis says, love the show. Glad I found you, man. One Pride. Yes, I love representing One Pride on here. And you know what? I also love having good football conversations too. I always throw the links in. You guys can come on here and have a conversation with me, and that's cool. I'm going to be on here for about 15 more minutes. I'll throw the link in there again. If you guys want to come on and talk, that's cool. I like talking about the Lions because this 9-8 team, I'm not bragging about 9-8. We missed the playoffs. I'm not happy that we missed the playoffs. We started out so bad at 1-6. I mean, yeah, it's hard to come back from that. The fact that they almost came back from that is amazing to me. That's why a Lion fan has so much hope. Thank you, Van Ness. God bless you too. We're football fans, but we're me personally, I'm a family man first. I love football, but definitely love my family way more. So Big Dan Davis road game is going to be heading to in October versus Tampa Bay in the Raymond James Stadium. Dude, I love you, Big Dan Davis. I wish we would have hooked up last year when we were in Minnesota watching us lose that game right there. Curtis Healy right there. I've been taking it since 98. I still bleed Honolulu blue. Billy Sims. Eric Kramer. Love it. I love it, man. I appreciate you guys for even wanting to be on here, the 13 of you that were listening. But this NFC North battle is going to be very, very interesting this year. And it's weird because the Lions are actually the team that is the most solid out of all the teams. You know, you're returning your entire core of your defensive line and all those guys that all the rookies that broke the NFL record in sacks. And then you completely revamped that back end, that secondary with studs. I mean, Sutton has been a good player. Mosley's been a good player. And Chauncey Gardner led the league in interceptions. You put those three guys back there, you draft Brian Branch. They completely overhauled that awful secondary, which ranked 32nd in the league. It was awful, Dan. When we were at that game, Dan, at US Bank Stadium with Minnesota, and then watching Amani Oruwariye get hold after hold after hold, and it was just pathetic. And he went down there, penalty, and let Minnesota drive all the way down the field because he couldn't keep his hands off of Adam Thielen. It's nice that we got some sticky cornerbacks now that are good at playing that coverage, that are good at stepping up and stopping the run. So I think the Lions defense is going to be drastically improved. You know, you're returning Tracy Walker. You're returning Romeo Okora and Charles Harris. That's 10 and 7.5 sacks coming to the depth of your defensive end room. Van Ness says it's going to be fun. Lions are winning the division, says Joe. I love it. I love it. I love that there's some hope in Detroit. Ain't nobody from any of these other three fan bases going to rain on our hope. We know there's reasons to be hopeful. There's no reason to think SOL. We have PTSOL, post-traumatic, same old Lions. And it's that thought. Giving the ball back to, you know, Aaron Rodgers with a minute left and wondering if your defense can get a stop. That's PTSOL. Knowing that you're going to lose the game when you're winning. That was killed last year, like on a bunch of different ways. SOL doesn't win that game in Lambeau on 4th and 2. And, you know, kneel down in Lambeau. That's never happened. That's not SOL. SOL is kicking the field goal, going up by 6, and then letting Aaron Rodgers go down and be the hero and go straight to the playoffs like they thought they were going to go to. Same old Lions doesn't beat the Bears 41-10. Same old Lions doesn't beat a playoff team. On the road, New York Giants. Same old Lions doesn't beat the hell out of the Jacksonville Jaguars, who ended up whooping on them San Diego Chargers in the playoffs. So this is a different Lions team. Joe says Jordan Love will be trash. That's an interesting prediction. Like, you could feel that. You can feel it from the organization that they don't believe in Jordan Love. Why would you extend him to give him less money? You could have just gave him the 5th-year option and paid him $20 million like he earned by being a backup quarterback to the Diva of the Year award winner, Aaron Rodgers. He backed him up. He did his job, and you're not going to pay him the full 5th year. You're going to extend him to pay him $13.5. That way you can get out of the contract if he blows. If he's awful next year, then Gutekunst can kick him out and then use that extra first-round draft pick to draft their quarterback of the future. They don't believe in Jordan Love. They don't believe him in Green Bay. I don't buy it for a minute. They don't believe in him. The fan base does. The fan base believes in Jordan Love. The fan base thinks that Jordan Love is just as good as Aaron Rodgers. Actually, it's going to be an upgrade if you talk to John Dorn. Aaron Rodgers is old. He messed up everything for them last year. Thank God they got him out of there, because now they can start winning. Now that they got that pesky MVP Hall of Fame quarterback out of there. Darn guy. We need to get Jordan Love in there. Really? Do you believe that? What if Jordan Love is average? If Jordan Love is average, what are you going to do? Because you're going to lose double-digit games if he's average. Because Aaron Rodgers, a Hall of Fame quarterback, has been carrying that franchise for a few years now. They ain't been drafting him any help. They ain't been doing anything for Aaron Rodgers there. They ain't been doing nothing for him. Yeah, Devontae Adams there. You bring in Christian Watson. Lead the league in drops. Win 8 games. Now you expect Jordan Love to fix that? I'm delusional? Dude, I'm delusional. I'm not delusional. How am I delusional? We don't know anything about Jordan Love. But if you expect Jordan Love, do you expect Jordan Love to just be better than Aaron Rodgers? I mean, you guys can rely on the run game. You got a good running game. You got Aaron Jones. That defense, that 21st ranked defense is loaded. You rank 21st in defense. PFF has you at 26 in run defense. You got a pretty good pass defense. You rank 14th in the league in pass. I like Jair Alexander. I think he's probably arguably the best defensive back in the league. You could argue that he is. Definitely top 5. Rashawn Gary is back. Hey, here's the thing. I'll ask you a question, T. Gibbo. It's Gutekunst versus Joe Barry. Now, Gutekunst has put 8 first-round draft picks onto that Green Bay Packer that ranked 21st last year. Now, is this? Yeah, well, Van Ness, yes. Along with Van Ness, yes, Van Ness is included in those first-round draft picks. But this is on Joe Barry. Like, if Joe Barry doesn't produce a top 10 defense with all of those first-round draft picks, then you got to put you're either going to fire Gutekunst or you're going to fire Joe Barry, because one of the things ain't matching up. Because it was your defense that failed you last year in the beginning of the season, and then it came on at the end. So all I say about Green Bay, and I picked Green Bay to win the first game versus the Chicago Bears, because Green Bay has the foundation of their defense. Justin Fields hasn't not proven that he can beat the Green Bay Packers defense. They have his number. So Aaron Rodgers doesn't play defense. So him being out of there isn't really going to help the Chicago Bears all that much. Now, I do believe the Bears got a lot better. And I think the second game, they're going to throw the Packers a lot better punch. But the Packers should win that first game. But uncertainty of Love. I mean, to expect Love to be on Aaron Rodgers' level, that's delusional. That's delusional. But if he comes in and he can play ball control, and then you get that, and you have to have Joe Barry produce a top 10 defense, you can win games without Jordan Love being as good as Aaron Rodgers. But if you expect him to pick up where you left off and that defense doesn't ascend, then you could lose games. You could lose a lot of games. So let's see. That makes a difference. The year before they were top 10, that's fine. But then you bring in a defensive coordinator, Joe Barry. That's why I ask the question, do you believe in Joe Barry? Because it was a top 10 defense. You bring in a new defensive coordinator. Now you're ranked 21st. Russell, just admit Love scares you. Yes, the uncertainty scares me, obviously. I mean, you don't know what he is. But He doesn't scare me as much as Aaron Rodgers scared me, because I don't believe for a second that Love is better than Aaron Rodgers. Not for 1 second. And that Lions defense beat you with a better player. So I'm not scared of Jordan Love. I think that the Lions will beat the Packers twice this year. I don't think that you guys have a chance this year with where the Lions are trending. And you think that you need to stop Jared Goff, but that ain't it. Your defensive line is a good matchup for my offensive line. That's what it is. But you guys ain't dominating shit. Lucas Van Ness has one move. And if he doesn't come with another move by training camp, if he doesn't get NFL coaching to teach him another move, you can't win with one move in the NFL. Not against NFL tackles. You may be able to overpower college kids like that. But Van Ness needs NFL coaching. He could be really good. The dude's a freak. From the physical standpoint, from the power, Van Ness. Love is better than Goff. Okay. How do you know that? One of them's been to a Super Bowl. That's true, but he's still young. Yeah, I ain't gonna do it. I'm not gonna. We're talking about Van Ness right here. He is still young, right? We are talking about Van Ness, right? Gosh, am I way off? I mean, we may be talking about Love. So, but Van Ness, I like that pickup, man. You can't go wrong with pass rushers. I like what Gutekunst did in the Aaron Rodgers trade and kind of saved it at the end. It was going south. He played a pretty good card there to get it going. But one move. Yeah, one move, Van Ness. But that's all right. You know, a good bull rush, that is a lethal move when you pair it up with other stuff. So if you get a good defensive line coach, you know, they could teach him like a spin move or, you know, something that is some other way that he can attack the quarterback. He could be a very dangerous player. I mean, and that's what you did. That's what you did. Hey, we have all Packer fans. I don't have to talk about the Lions. I know a lot about the Packers. I had to study just as much about their draft as I did about the Lions draft. That's the unfortunate thing about being in an NFC Lion or NFC North group. Even as a Lions fan, I got to learn the teams. And the Packers have a lot of unproven type of talent that could be good, that could not be good. I mean, if this defense, you have to go track records, right? So Jordan Love is better than Jared Goff, right? So it comes with track record. There is no track record for Goff yet. So that's a nice, fun thing to say right now, but you'll find out what Goff is or find out what Love is right away. I mean, if he loses his first two games, your entire fan base will turn on him and then you'll be calling for Clifford. But if he's good, then all you guys get to stand on your perches and say, hey, I told you that Love was going to be good. Okay, that's cool. He could be good. You spent a first-round draft pick on him. He's supposed to be your future. He's supposed to be your future. Maybe he is going to be good. Van Ness is TJ Watt. Gosh, I love the homerness, man. I love the homerness. Get it, man. I mean, I love it when you can believe in your brand new players, right? Brand new players that have never played it down. Yay, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to have 1,500 all-purpose yards this year. Go Lions. I can do that too. Oh, Jack Campbell's going to be the best linebacker in the whole league. Well, I can do that too. Hendon Hooker will be better than Love. Very interesting to have. See, the Lions fans can throw it right back at you. Hendon Hooker, arguably the best quarterback in the draft, slid to the third round because he has an ACL injury. You know what ACL stands for, right? Mike coined this. Absolutely could be a lion. It's almost certain. It's an almost certain Lion ACL injury. What, you got an ACL? Come on down. You can be a Lion.
By the power of Ra.
Oh, gosh. One of the things that Lions fans love is the fact that, if you have a good general manager, you can feel good. I know that you guys love your general manager there in Green Bay. You guys like your general manager? Do you like Gutekunst? You like the way that he handled that Aaron Rodgers trade? Because I tell you what, if they would have traded him a year before to Denver, you guys could be sitting on 3 first-round picks. You could be that. I mean, could you imagine that? Seattle? Oh my God. How can you're gonna trade your quarterback, your aging quarterback, to a team that wants to win, and the aging quarterback stinks, and then you get their first-round draft pick for the next 3 years. So now the Broncos can't rebuild. Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, unless Russell Wilson turns into Russell Wilson, those Denver Broncos are in trouble. But you guys could have got that for Rodgers. Think about that. If you're going to be if you like Gutekunst, just remember, you could be sitting on 3 first-round draft picks if you would have traded, because they would. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is better than Russell Wilson. So, they could have gotten this at least the same. They're at least the same, right? But yeah, if I was a Packer fan, that one would bother me, knowing that you could have got 3 first-round draft picks the year prior, and you got 2 kind of, you got some things that are, Aaron Rodgers has to play a lot of those games. I don't remember. I don't know what the actual stipulations is, but some stuff has to happen for you guys to move that pick from a second round to a first round pick. But you got 1 first for sure. I don't know. So it seems like I'm looking through here. We love the underdogs. Hey, Curtis, and gambling. You like Brian Gutekunst. Looks like you guys like Gutekunst. Can the Lions beat the Niners? Ooh, that's an interesting question right there. We're built differently than you are. Okay? So when you guys went against the Niners, when they're with all, it was a lot of Rodgers. And here's the thing is, the best quarterbacks in the world are always going to be susceptible to a good pass rush every single time. And that's really what you were running into with the Niners. Now, the Lions are built with the offensive line to stand up to a defensive line like that. We're actually built to compete with the grind out teams. And even though everybody hates Jared Goff, what Jared Goff doesn't do is doesn't force shit to happen. So you can play that ball control and win those ugly games like they did against the New York Jets. When you got this, when you're playing against a top 5 defense, it's just like even the best offenses in the world. I mean, the defenses are going to have the advantage at the end of the year when they have enough tape on all these teams. They're going to know how to stop you. And you have to be poised enough as an offense, even if you're really, really good, to take the points where you can get them and everything. So I think the Lions can compete with the Niners with the way that they're building their team. Now, I don't know if they could beat the Niners. The Niners are, that's a front runner in the NFC, right? The Niners, that road to get to the Super Bowl, whether you're a Packer, Bear, Viking, or Lion fan, is going to go through the 49ers. You are going to have to beat that team, I think, to get to the Super Bowl. So that's going to be my comment on that. One more coming this year. He has to play most of the season. I don't know who we're talking about here. Brock Purdy. Okay. Brock Purdy is another one of those guys. That's another one of those things where you build the offensive line. If you build both sides of the trenches, then you can drop extremely talented people into those situations and do well. That's why a Brock Purdy or Trey Lance or Jimmy Garoppolo, anybody is going to be successful behind that San Francisco team, because for one, you're not going to score any points. You're going to need to score like 10 points and you can win the game, right? That's how good that defense is. So Brock Purdy doesn't have to be great. And I don't even think he's that great. They didn't ask him to do much. Drop back, hand the ball off to Christian McCaffrey, throw a screen pass to Christian McCaffrey, throw a little thump off pass to Deebo Samuel and watch him run. I mean, what does he have to do? Don't turn the ball over. That's what his job is. That's Brock Purdy in a nutshell. So that's why that team is so dangerous. That's the way the Lions are built, because they're dangerous like that. On both sides of the trenches, you are going to have to deal with the Detroit Lions. I don't give a shit about the stats or anything like that. These guys are going to win a fight. You guys are going to have to stand up to these big defensive linemen like Hutchinson and Houston and Pascal and Aleem and Romeo and Harris, Buggs and Kaminsky. Like, you don't ever get a rest with our defensive line. So the Lions by far have the deepest defensive line, deeper than the Packers, because it just quality guys all the way up and down. That all the way up and down that line. Anthony, all right, cool. Got a Bear fan in here. Not that I like the Bears, screw the Bears, but at least we got a Bear fan in here representing the Bear. Somebody that has courage enough to come on here and represent their teams. I mean, these Minnesota Vikings, for winning the division, you guys are certainly in witness protection when it comes to talking football right now. It's like, let the bodies hit the floor and you just expect to compete. You just expect to compete, but you're going to lose 6 games, Minnesota Viking fan. 6 games in a division. The Bears will beat you twice. The Packers will beat you twice. The Lions will beat you twice. Yes. Yes. How do you feel about losing Swift? I feel we're moving on. Losing Swift. Swift was a 2nd-round draft pick by the Bob Quinn regime. And even though they don't want to really admit it, I think they're trying to move as far away from any player that was selected by the Matt Patricia regime. And I think they already had the plan to replace him anyway. I mean, you bring in David Montgomery, and David Montgomery has been nothing but solid for a bad Bears franchise over the last few years. They haven't had a very good offensive line. They haven't done much for Justin Fields until this year. And Montgomery has got an opportunity here in Detroit to run behind an offensive line that averaged 4 yards before contact. And one of the good things about David Montgomery is that he's one of the best in the league at breaking tackles. So when he played for the Bears, he was breaking tackles usually the first time in the backfield, a yard behind the line of scrimmage. But with the Lions, he's going to be breaking his first tackle 4 yards down the field. So I think he came here for the opportunity. I think he's been an underrated player, and he's going to have a career year here. So that's how I feel about losing Swift. And then you draft a guy that's better in every attribute that you're looking for. He's faster than Swift. He can catch the ball better than Swift. And I don't know if he's going to be a better running back than Swift, but he's going to have the same opportunity here that Swift had. And he's a lot faster. So I think that he's going to score more touchdowns than Swift did, just because not as many people are going to be able to catch him from behind like they were Swift. So I think they've upgraded 100%. They've upgraded the running back room in Detroit, and you guys are going to have to deal with a pretty fierce running attack this year. And Williams, now, if you're talking about Jamal Williams, it broke my heart.
Stop playing with us.
He was the heart and soul of this team, and it really hurt me to see him leave. But to know that it was his decision and that we offered him a fair contract. We offered him just as much money as we paid David Montgomery. We offered him the first contract, and Jamal made the choice not to take that contract. And then he went to the New Orleans Saints and played for less money. That was his agent's mistake. His agent let him down. I don't put any of that on Jamal Williams. His agent dropped the ball for him. He could be a Detroit Lion if it wasn't for how stupid his agent was trying to get an extra $1.5 million. But we end up getting David Montgomery. I do believe he's an upgrade over Williams. You nailed it. Reynolds make the roster. Gosh, man, that is such a good question. And we will be covering this for sure, but I'll give you a short answer to this is, I don't think he's going to make the roster. I think that you have Muhammad Ibrahim, and I love Craig Reynolds. We've had his father on the show before, and but I just know this is a cutthroat business, and you bring these guys on that have like these low miles, and like Ibrahim and Bell is still on the roster. Jameer Jefferson has been showing out in parts of his training camp, and they got other undrafted free agents coming in, and that third spot is up for grabs. I hope he does make the roster. I really do like Craig Reynolds, and I'm one of those people that believe if it ain't broke, you shouldn't fix it. So he knows the offense. So I hope they keep him, Curtis. I appreciate the comment. T. Gibbs, I love it. We lost to the Lions because of two former Packers, Aaron Rodgers and Williams. That is I get that. I get that, but you are underselling what was really happening, and I think that you undersell how great both of those games were. I mean, those games, like that game in Lambeau Field. I mean, I've been part of so many of those really, really close down to the last second type of games that come down to, can I get this 2 yards or whatever? Like if they would have lost that game, and I'm telling you, because I've lost this game, I look back at these types of games and say, thank you for watching that type of a game, T. Now, if you want to blame the entire game on Aaron Rodgers, dude, that was a dogfight. Come on, man. Come on. Like it was a good defensive, just kind of chess match that was going back and forth. It was ugly. And it came down to 1 4th and 2 play that we happened to get. Okay. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and say the Lions dominate. Like, well, we kicked your ass. No, we just know how to win close games now. And we knew how to win close games against your better players. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers, or I don't think that Jordan Love would have won that game in place of Aaron Rodgers. I don't. But I do think that David Montgomery could have won that game in place of Jamal Williams, because it's the offensive line that is creating this space, that is making it so these running backs can have, good production. Yeah, Jamal Williams had over 1,000 yards. He did. He ran behind a line that averaged 4 yards before contact. Put that into perspective. Montgomery is an upgrade over Williams. No way. Williams had 17 touchdowns. You see that? Yeah, you're looking at the touchdowns, right? So 9 of those touchdowns were 1-yard touchdowns that were created by the offensive line that he was not touched. He was not touched on those touchdowns. So he got 17 touchdowns. I'm not taking anything away from him. He played the running back role here the way you're supposed to play the running back role. But when I say that he's more talented, it is an upgrade over Williams. It is. And it's nothing against Williams. Williams is a one cut. There's the whole daylight, get what I can get. That's it. He's not gonna break 5 tackles at the end of the run, turn it into more. You kind of get your cut, you get it, and that's what it looks, right? David Montgomery breaks tackles. He broke tackles at a rate that was the highest in the league, tied with Nick Chubb. Now he's running behind a not so good offensive line in Chicago. And then he comes to a line that averages 4 yards before contact. Montgomery is a more talented back than Jamal Williams. And nobody with a good football IQ really is going to dispute that, because it's out there. He can block. He can run after the catch the ball out of the backfield. He can hit the hole. He's a smart player. He's been a great running back, and nobody from the Chicago Bears would deny that. They wanted to re-sign him. So he is an upgrade over Williams, and I stand by that. Tom Kennedy finally get a shot somewhere else on a practice squad. Lucky again. Hey, Tom Kennedy, Mr. September, right? That dude showed out in like the last, it seems like 10 preseasons, but I don't know how many years he's been here. But for the last couple of years, Tom Kennedy has been a darling in the training camps and balled out. And he even came in last year and made a couple gigantic catches in games where we had a lot of wide receivers out. So kudos to the Lions front office for bringing in Antoine Randall to train up these wide receivers. He's doing an excellent job. It's turning into a wide receiver factory to where you can just bring up practice squad wide receivers in this offense and they can get it done. And I love it. I love it. Great comment right there, Curtis. But right in the end zone. Okay. I'm not sure I might get there. Williams was the heart of the offense. Hey, you know what?
Stop playing with us.
I believe you. I believe you, but this is a business. This is a business, and business happens. So we can't cry over the spilled milk. We offered him a $6 million a year contract. We offered to pay him as much as we're paying Montgomery. So even though I don't believe he's as good, we offered him just as much money. He chose, or his agent chose, to take his talents elsewhere and play for less money. That's on his agent. That's not on the Lions organization. We're not going to chase you down to try to get you, but Williams makes the O-line look better. No, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. He does not make the O-line look better. Frank Ragnow, Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker, Jonah Jackson are 4 of the biggest, baddest dudes in the league. 4 yards before contact. That doesn't make that's not the O-line making a running back look better. That doesn't just happen because you say it and you write it in text. You are just putting words on a screen right now because you have nothing to back that up. 4 yards before contact, T. That's a running back's wet dream. Barry Sanders would have had 70 TDs behind this offensive line. Holy crap, Barry Sanders wish he could have ran behind an offensive line like this. Holy crap. If Barry Sanders got to run behind this line right here, it would be like that question, like, oh, wow, what if Barry got to run behind that Dallas line that Emmitt Smith did? That's what this line is like. It's a top 5 offensive line in this league. It's going to be the top offensive line in this league this year. I love it, but I can't put Williams over Montgomery. He's just not a better running back. Russell, me and you could have got 17 touchdowns beyond the offensive line. Man, I don't know, man. I still think that they would have blocked me to get 4 yards, and I probably could have found a way to get 2. Don't put that one on me, man. Then let's see. I can't believe people actually think that the Lions are good. Yeah, I'm a dumbass,
Stop playing with us.
But I could be like the Packers.
What have you done for me lately?
And they haven't done anything lately either. So the Lions have the most promise out of any team in the division. The heart and soul of the offense, Ben Johnson, the Goffense. The Goffense, Ben Johnson and Jared Goff designing the Goffense and putting it together to take over the world and to take over the NFL. Yes, the heart and soul is Ben Johnson. And doesn't that say something to the culture and the things that they are building here in Detroit? Ben Johnson could have had the Carolina Panthers head coaching job. He could have had the Arizona Cardinals head coaching job. And he chose to stay here to finish what he started. That is an awesome testimony to the front office and to the Sheila Hamp. Sheila Hamp needs, ownership has been shit on in this whole in the city for years.
You've had enough of that shit.
And Dan Campbell and that regime has came in and turned that idea around. They got Barry Sanders in the building. They got Calvin Johnson in the building. Everything is running. We got our legends working in an accord to try to bring and do something special here. We haven't seen something special in Detroit. I mean, in any sport. We are starving. What a great fan base Detroit has that put up with this crap for years and years and years. You're damn right. You're damn right we're going to stand on a hope that we could have a good team. Ain't going to let no Packer fan jump on our stuff. I can't believe the Lions think that they were actually good. You're damn right we think we're good. We're better than the Packers. Packers are 1-3 versus Dan Campbell. You guys got the shit to prove now, not us. You guys have to prove something.
What have you done for me lately?
What have you done for me lately? You have lost 3 out of 4 games to Dan Campbell. That's the recent history. That's the truth. Remember when Jeff Backus and Raiola was our best lineman? Oh my God. I actually, we put up a post today that, was ranking Jeff Backus as one of the Lions legends. And I absolutely believe that. Jeff Backus, what a good call. Thank you, Curtis. Good call. Backus and Raiola were a very good part of an awful time in Lions. I mean, how awful was that? These guys played good on 3-win teams. That's got to be hard to come and, just bring your lunch pail every week and you're going to get your ass kicked. You're not going to win the game. Your team's not good, but yet you still come to work. I salute you, Jeff Backus. He went to Michigan. You Michigan homers should love that. Jeff Backus, decent left tackle, not a great left tackle, but out of 32, he would always be ranked like 10 to 12 as left tackle in a league. Never in the top, never in the bottom. He's just a good, solid guy. He'd always get beat up by the really, really good defensive lineman, but Backus was solid. Barry is 50 now, though. Hey, he's with the team. He's in there coaching life, preaching life into guys like Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. David Montgomery is only 26 years old. It's not like he's old. Guy's just going into his second contract. Sheila Foyle, I am happy she is not dumb. Ask like Martha. You know what? I don't think they were really dumb. I just think they were complacent. Their business, their job is to sell Ford trucks and cars. We got to make the Ford name. The team was always just kind of like in the back, right? But when Sheila Hamp took over, she immediately hired Chris Spielman as the football director of operations, and Chris Spielman started making football decisions. And that's when the team really started turning around. That's why we got Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. So since the Red Wings, yeah, gosh, man, that was a nice run for the Detroit. Had a God, it's like 30 years of going to the playoffs every single year is the Red Wings. Remember now, we won't have Mr. Audible Caller now. I don't know who you're referring to there. Maybe Aaron Rodgers, Robin White. What is that? Is that Bobbert? God, I can't see. This will be the year Justin Fields gets injured and knocked out for the year. You heard it here first. Oh, wow. He must have heard it from the script makers from the NFL WWE merger. I love that the scripted. I mean, who knows, man? You never know. They got this thing all scripted out. Bobbert. They're gonna I never liked Mom and Dad month. Ford. Oh my God. I never liked Mom and Dad, I think, much. Ford, William Clay, trash. Yeah, they really just kind of hands off. They really just kind of showed that they really didn't care about what was happening with the team or anything like that. But gosh, man, you guys, this has been awesome today. I have to get off of here because well, I guess I'll promote this right here. This is why I have to get off. I have an autistic 4-year-old, and this show is brought to you by the WTHisautism.com. We want to raise autism awareness out there, and it's not a disease, folks. That's the main thing. So we're finding out that this isn't something that you catch. This is just a different learning processor. If you like to use PC computers, my son's a Mac. His mind processes things different, and it's okay. He's beautiful. He's beautiful. And they're going to change the name from autism to autism. So thank you to WTHisautism.com for backing our show. And this is a daily thing. You can go follow NFC North Open Mic, Detroit Lions Villain Squad. If you're a Packer fan, you can go follow Bill the Packer fan. He's our resident Packer fan here at the main event. Mike the Bear fan. He's our resident Bear fan here at the main event 365. Or please subscribe to our YouTube channels. It helps us get out there. Share this content. Like this content. It helps us get out there. We appreciate each and every one of you. God bless you guys. I'm going to chime out of here. Be nice to people out there. Go out of your way. Try to be nice to somebody today that you felt like being an asshole to. And I'll leave you with that message. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning at around 11 a.m. God bless you. Peace out. One pride.